When was the last time you changed your mind because of evidence? Not mood, not pressure, not a trending chorus, but something testable and stubborn. If that question lands like a pause you didn't expect, you are already close to the core of this argument. We live in an age that makes everything easier except judgment. Convenience wraps itself around our attention like warm light, smoothing every rough edge where thinking used to happen. It feels like intelligence. It is not. It is a machine, comfort finely engineered, quietly swapping the work of understanding for the sensation of clarity. Call it the comfort machine. Not a conspiracy, not a villain, but a web of incentives, interfaces, and habits that remove friction from the places where truth normally resists us. It is built to help, and it often does. But when every step is greased, the muscles that hold skepticism, patience, and calibration atrophy. We begin to glide past the very moments that could have made us wiser. Watch how it operates. First, speed. Feeds move faster than breath. The pause where a mind tests an assumption is replaced by the next clip, the next chart, the next hot take. Fluency, the ease with which a sentence slides, starts to feel like accuracy. Novelty masquerades as importance because it arrives louder. Momentum substitutes for progress. We become more decisive and less correct. Then sorting. Personalization builds a corridor fitted to our past clicks. It is wonderful when you need a recipe or a repair tutorial. It is dangerous when you need a disagreement that teaches rather than humiliates. The world narrows while our confidence grows. We see more of what we already know and mistake that comfort for mastery. Spectacle follows. In public spaces wired for metrics, thought becomes a performance. The imagined audience enters the room before the idea does, and the idea reshapes itself to earn applause. The grammar of attention is simple. Be fast, be certain, be entertaining, be tribal. Nuance cannot live on that stage for long. It is edited out in the name of pace. Finally, outsourcing. We outsource memory to devices, navigation to maps, and increasingly, judgment to crowds and dashboards. None of this is inherently wrong. But when we outsource the habit of disbelief, the reflex to test the claim before adopting it, we become tourists in our own minds. The furniture is comfortable, the views are familiar, and nothing heavy is required of us. The machine works not because we are foolish, but because we are human. Brains conserve energy. Heuristics are how they do it. Rules of thumb save us most days. Under overload, the same shortcuts turn against us. Social proof, which keeps us aligned enough to cooperate, can become conformity to confident error. Authority, which helps us learn from expertise, can become obedience to theatrical prestige. Overconfidence, which moves us to act under uncertainty, can harden into a shell that no counter-evidence can crack. The comfort machine doesn't shout. It whispers, "This is easier," and we nod. Bring it down to the ground. You scroll the news to stay informed. What actually happens is a sampling of fragments optimized to hook, not to integrate. You end the session with sharp opinions about events and a blurry grasp of the models that explain them. You feel awake and, paradoxically, less able to tell what matters next. Or you're at work, under time pressure. 2 proposals. One polished, aligned with a story your team already loves. One plain, supported by boring data. The room goes with the story. The weeks that follow are spent rationalizing and repairing. It looks like a failure of information. It was a failure of courage to disappoint a mood. Or at the level of self. Your bookshelf, your subscriptions, your follows, they reflect the person you hope to be. They give you a sense of coherence. But if nothing on that list reliably challenges you, you have curated comfort, not cultivated growth. Calm is not always wisdom. Sometimes it is just sorting doing its job too well. A controversy erupts. Your circle leans one way. You add your voice because silence feels like betrayal. Later, new details complicate the picture. The social price of revising in public is suddenly high. Many delete quietly. Few write updates. We call this prudence. Often it is fear, a perfectly understandable fear, trained by a system that confuses performance with virtue. Is convenience bad? No. It is miraculous for logistics. It is deadly when it becomes our epistemic compass. The goal is not to reject the modern world and live in friction for sport. It is to reintroduce friction precisely where thinking happens, at the moment of belief, at the moment of decision, at the moment of speech. Try a minimal intervention first. Before you share, buy, decide, or declare, take one breath longer than you want. In that breath, ask, what would make this false? If the honest answer is nothing, you are looking at identity, not evidence. If a possible answer appears, spend 60 seconds looking for it. 60 seconds will not derail your day, but it will often puncture a certainty that didn't deserve to survive. Choose one sober source. In a noisy world, find an outlet whose incentives reward caution, boring presentation, transparent uncertainty, footnotes instead of fireworks. Let that voice shape your priors more than the feed that flatters you. The more boring your anchor, the less likely it is to lure you with spectacle at the price of nuance. Schedule disagreement. Do not depend on the algorithm to deliver it. Once a week, read a thoughtful argument against something you hold dear. Read as if the author equals you in intelligence and exceeds you in context. If you feel disgust in the first paragraph, ask whether you are reacting to tone or to threat. Disgust is not data. Practice steel manning. Before you refute a position, state it in terms the other side would sign. If they wouldn't sign, you haven't earned your opposition. This slows the conversation down just enough for truth to get a word in. Keep an update ledger, a small notebook, a note on your phone. Each time you change your mind, record the prior belief, the new evidence, the revision. Over months, your respect for yourself migrates from being right to becoming less wrong. The price of updating drops. You start to crave calibration. Draft in private before you perform in public. Sketch the claim. List the evidence. Draw the counter-evidence. Admit your uncertainty bounds. If the idea can't survive a page of examination, it isn't ready for a stage. If it can, you have already done the work the audience cannot do for you. Use machines with intent. Let tools summarize, translate, and surface references. Do not let them set your questions or your standard of proof. The tool accelerates. You decide what deserves acceleration and what deserves friction. That decision is judgment. No model will deliver it to you prepackaged. Choose a lab over a club. The difference is cultural. In a club, disagreement feels like disloyalty. In a lab, it feels like method. In a club, authority is style. In a lab, authority is protocol. Gather with people who can argue models without impugning motives, who can replicate before celebrating, who can say not yet without saying never. Relearn depth. The nervous panic that arrives at boredom is withdrawal from novelty. Treat it as such. Walk without headphones. Read without alerts. Give your focus 20 undistracted minutes and let it bulk up again. Depth isn't a mood. It's a physiological state that recovers with practice. Teach is hypothesis. When you explain something to a child, a colleague, an audience, frame it as, here is how I understand it now. Here is where it could fail. Here is what would change my mind. Confidence is not the absence of uncertainty. It is the willingness to name it and proceed anyway. What about the algorithms themselves? They are mirrors, not minds. They reflect a million micro-choices you make. Click slower and they slow down. Search beyond the first page and they learn to bring you longer forms. Follow critics you respect and they expand your terrain. You cannot fix the internet for everyone. You can repair the version of it that trains your judgment. That is the arena that matters most. Culture scales habits. If enough of us normalize revision, corrections become status rather than shame. If classrooms grade updates as well as answers, students learn that changing your mind is part of mastery. If institutions celebrate transparent methods rather than viral summaries, prestige migrates toward care. We decide, often without saying it aloud, whether certainty will be cheap or expensive in our world. Make it expensive. Tie esteem to evidence. A brief case study for contrast. A product team debates a feature. The easy path is familiar. Copy a competitor, ship quickly, and retrofit a story from whatever numbers appear. The slower path looks fussy. Define what success must look like before launch, set kill criteria that would force you to stop, invite a small group to attack your assumptions. The first path feels fast and looks decisive. The second path is genuinely faster across a year because it buys understanding, not just motion. Comfort loves first-order speed, the speed of starting. Judgment prefers second-order speed, the speed of fewer repeated mistakes. Leaving the machine has a cost. You will update publicly and lose some applause. You will admit, "I don't know," and watch certainty flow around you. You will disappoint a tribe by refusing to copy its style of righteousness. But there is a dividend that does not fade. You will trust your own mind again because you have watched it do difficult, honest work. You will feel the difference between a belief that props up an identity and a belief that has earned its keep. If you want a place to begin, take 2 minutes right now. Choose one belief you state often. Write it plainly. Ask what evidence would overturn it. If you cannot name any possible evidence, you are protecting a self, not a claim. If you can name it, open a new tab and try to find the strongest version of that evidence. If you find nothing credible, decide what you would test next. A data set, a prediction with a date attached, a person whose expertise you trust. This is maintenance. Minds need alignment like wheels do. The comfort machine will not turn itself off. It does not need you to believe anything in particular. It only needs you to prefer smoothness over friction at the exact moments when friction would save you. You have more agency than that. Choose where your attention pays rent. Install small speed bumps at the gates of belief. Make a pause fashionable in your own life. Praise revisions in your circle so that others feel safe doing the same. Teach your tools their limits and your students, of whatever age, the basics of disbelief. If even a small fraction of us adopt these habits, the tone of the public square shifts. Certainty becomes costly. Nuance finds oxygen. Critical thinking stops being a solitary posture and becomes a shared expectation. That sounds grand. In practice, it begins at kitchen tables and keyboards, inside meeting rooms and message threads, in the breath you take before you hit post. One final image to leave with you. Picture a field of lamps at night. Each lamp is a mind refusing the easy glow of spectacle and choosing the steadier light of care. None of them flood a city. Together, they make the path visible. You do not need to dim the world to light your square of it. Choose one moment today to favor friction over convenience. Make the click that complicates you. Write the update that embarrasses you a little. Put one truthful sentence into the stream and let it stand. The machine offers comfort. Take the harder gift. Take clarity.